Hey everybody, it's that time again. We're going to do the International Wealth Builders Association.com radio show and podcast. What is International Wealth Builders Association.com? Well, it's a high-quality real estate investment club, okay? I'm your host today, Patrick Hunter, and I have a company called Megalithic Coaching and Mavericks.com. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about creative financing and creative deal structuring. And we're going to give you the elements of what a binding deal is, okay? So also after that, we're going to have a segment on a Costa Rican B&B with our guest, Clare Chaney. She's going to tell us all about that and what your options are as far as what's going on in the market. I'm going to do a segment in a third segment. I'm going to get a hold of your attention and tell you the updates of what's happening in the real estate market locally and nationally. So let me kind of give you an overview of what International Wealth Builders Association is. It's basically a group. It's a new real estate investment club and group where we bring like-minded individuals together in a wealth-based network, and our aim is to effectively elevate the lifestyles of our members, and also in turn they're going to improve the lifestyle of the communities that they're in. The quality of all the communities and education. Our purpose is with the International Wealth Builders Association.com is to provide an open, friendly, networking environment where investors can thrive through the exchange of ideas and get great education, tons of education. We're also going to provide them with a plethora of referrals and resources. Anything from like a painter on up to a project manager, to somebody to partner with, and all the way up to big developers and big builders. You name it, they're gonna be there, and we have the connections to help you. If you're a beginner on up to a billionaire developer, we're gonna get that out there for you, okay? So what does that mean to you, and who are we really? We're basically bringing everybody together for fix and flips, mega projects. What do we talk about? We talk about commercial. We talk about residential. We talk about development and entitlements. Entitlements is where you actually get a property to go from dirt to where you can actually build something on it, and that's a very, very lucrative process by itself, is the entitlements. So that's something that you really want to learn about. We do land. We can tell you about wholesaling, rehabbing. What's going on with the rehab market is that the market is slowing down a little bit, but I'm going to get a little into that in a little bit in the third segment. And you should go on to International Wealth Builders Association.com, log in and become a member right now before it gets too expensive. And we do have a lot of people that are signing up. So go to internationalwealthbuilders.com, International Wealth Builders Association.com, and become a member, okay? So who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, I'm a broker, a real estate broker for 17 years. I've actually been licensed in real estate since 1985. In all areas of real estate, I've actually done remodels, I've done design, I've done staging and lending, mortgages, with hundreds of deals of all different types that I've done and assisted with. I've been a speaker, a coach, an author. I've written many workshops and seminars over the decades for top corporations, BMW, IBM, Merrill Lynch, C21. So I've been around and I've done a lot of these things. But today we're going to talk about creative deal making and creative financing, because that's going to be the key to what's coming up in this crazy real estate market that's changing rapidly. It's changing so fast. The interest rates have leveled out, which is a good thing. And I'm going to talk about that a little later on. But my philosophy when it comes to this industry, I've done all kinds of deals, but my philosophy, it's always good to leave people better off than when you found them in the deal, and everybody's got to come out a winner. So that means you got to be ethical, you got to be honest at all times, and you got to achieve what everybody's outcome wants to be. That's really important. Now, let me tell you, first of all, one of the interesting things that you got to know is in order for it to be a deal, you have to have certain elements in the contract. You have certain elements to make a binding deal in real estate. But I just want to tell you, I am a real estate broker. I am not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. You got to do your own diligence for any of these things. I'm not an investment advisor. but I am a real estate broker, so I can talk to you about the things that I am eligible to talk to you about, which is a contract and a deal in real estate. First of all, you have to understand that when you're making a deal in real estate, one of the things that you got to have is what's called consideration. What is consideration? Well, consideration can be a down payment. It can be something for trade for services. It can be, you can use anything as consideration as long as it's accepted by all parties. One of the important things also is you had to have competent parties capable of legally consenting. Are they even the owner of the property? I'll tell you a few deals when I get through with the elements of the deal that I did when I started out in real estate and how I got into some creative financing. So you have to have a lawful purpose. What are you doing with the house? Is it going to be transferred for sale? It doesn't mean you're going to make a pot farm out of it or one of those things. You want to make sure that you have legal consideration. All parties are competent, which means they have to be over 18. They can't have dementia. There's a lot of things that they have to be competent enough. They have to know what's going on. You have to have an agreement. What is an agreement? Agreement is a meeting of the minds. You have to have everybody on board at the same time. And I can't tell you how many times that I've come in and cleaned up deals with other agents where they did not inform their client as well as they should have. It's really important that everybody is on the same page and you do a thorough job of explaining exactly how the deal's going to go, who's going to get what, how much money they're going to get, what's happening. Is the house going to be sold in 30 days, 40 days, which is another thing you have to make it a binding agreement. It has to be in writing and it has to be dated. That's one thing that you have to understand. So you got to have consideration. I've done deals where consideration was a car. I've done deals where consideration was $50 to start, and then in 30 days, I would give them another $5,000. That's the beauty of creative financing. Creative financing is basically when you use other than conventional financing. Conventional financing is when you go to a bank, you get a loan. It could be a conventional loan with a regular bank. It can be a government loan backed by FHA, VA, which, by the way, just to give you a little update on the forbearances, you still, if you have a pandemic-related hardship, you can still get a forbearance. A lot of people think they are over. They are not. You can actually still do one if you have a government loan and you have a hardship. So talk to your lender, see what's going on with that. They just do still have the people that are going to be able to help you with that. So you have to have a signature. You have to have a date. You have to have an agreement. The deals that I see that go sideways, I mean, you can literally give somebody $1 and a pack of cigarettes, and that can be consideration, and you can buy the house. They can actually deed the house over to you. There's a lot of that is going to be going on, and they're going to be doing what's called AITDs, which is an all-inclusive trust deed, or a subject to, which is subject to existing financing. Well, are the banks happy about that? Well, no, because right now everybody has equity and they can sell their house. So that's not going to be a real problem, and the short sales are going to come back. But because everybody has equity, that's not going to be a real problem for that to happen. One of the things you got to know is if you are doing a creative deal, creative financing, there's this little thing called a due on sale clause. Most contracts have a due on sale, loans have a due on sale, which means that if you change title, give the title to someone else, sell your house without taking the financing off or paying off the financing, they can call your loan completely due. Does that happen? Most likely not. There's lots of ways around that, and if you want to contact me, I can go over that. If anybody's in this situation, I'd be happy to help you with that. But I'm going to talk to you right now about some of the deals that I did when I first got started. When I was in my 20s, I bought my first house. I was barely making any money. I had a young family. I just started learning about real estate. It was back in the mid-'80s. And I bought my first house in Mission Viejo with a lease option. Now, lease option is a great way for somebody to get in and lock in a price on a house, because you can negotiate the price that you're going to pay for it when you buy it, and you get to lease the house and make your payments. And your payments, you know what your payments are going to be exactly. It's not like you're renting and they can keep bumping your payments, which is another reason why it's so much better to own than it is to rent, because you're going to get tax write-offs. They can't raise your rent, and you can sell it if there's some money to be made on the house. So what I did when I had my young family in Mission Viejo is I talked to the guy. The guy was renting it out, and I said, would you be interested in selling it to me? And he goes, well, I just bought it and fixed it up and I'm renting it out, so I don't think so. And I said, well, what do you think it's worth? And the guy told me what he thought it was worth. And I said, well, how about if I buy it from you 2 years from now at a 15% above that price, asking price? How about if I buy it from you at that? And he says, well, let me think about it. So he says, okay, I'll do that, but I want it to go for 1.5 years. And I said, well, that's cutting it a little close, 18 months. I said, if you do it for 2 years, I'll give you 18%. And so but even back then, I was a good hustler, a good negotiator. So it was really important for me to get that house for my young family and not pay rent. I didn't want rent going up and up and up. So the thing is that you have to be able to understand that when you're being creative, what does that mean? You've got to be creative on all sides. Anything can be creative. The length of the deal, the terms of the deal, that's what we call in the creative financing industry, real estate, is terms. You want terms, terms, terms. Forget about cost. Forget about investment. You want terms. You want to make sure that it's going to be good for everybody, a win-win situation. And I'm going to tell you about a few other deals that I did. Last year, I did some very creative deals with a couple of my customers. I had one house that didn't appraise, and I'll get to that when we come back from the next segment. I'll tell you all about it.